Okay, so I think we are going. That's the hope, is that we are broadcasting. Cool. Okay. I think, to the best of my ability, I think we're going, which is good. So I'm going to go ahead and there is a chat window over on the right hand side that you should be able to go ahead and enter in some chat information. I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that we broadcast out that we are live. And then we'll go from there. It's definitely been something that it's interesting doing this kind of stuff because it's something that we have been thinking about doing, and it definitely takes a little effort and work to get this set up, but overall we're excited to do this and to get this out there. I know there's a lot of people out there on Twitch and YouTube that are doing live streams, but I think it'd be fun to do something specifically around dynamics and that platform, as well as just sort of talking about what's coming up and what's all happening in business and some of Seattle as well. So cool. So one last tweet out saying that we're live and we'll go from there. So let me see, let me make sure I grab the right URL. So I'll grab this URL. Now I understand why people want those stream decks, because it would be a lot easier if you just had to push buttons. And then I'm going to go ahead and tweet. This is the problem with having multiple accounts. Is you have multiple things to tweet. Stream is up and running. Awesome. Cool. So that's out. And we should be ready to go. Okay. So anyways, what I wanted to do today is sort of get into, not even sort of, is to get into what it looks like for to learn. And so one of the things that we're often doing is learning in Dynamics and learning in the portal. And what does that look like? What does it look like to go ahead and awesome. So welcome back. Joys of doing a new stream is that you can't really tell when something, like, you know, goes off. Definitely thought we were streaming for the last, 10 minutes, which is fine that it wasn't, but it's good. So anyways, we're back at it now. So what we did is we logged into Office 365. What we're going to do is go ahead and go to, let's try this. I'm going to go ahead and close all these browsers, because that's what you're supposed to do, right? And then close all the browsers. And then try that again. We go ahead and pick up the portal.office.com. Log in with this user. Okay, let's go to the admin center. We'll take a look at that. And then from the admin center, we're going to skip the tour for now. Feeling we know where we're going. We'll go ahead and go over to Dynamics 365. And here we can see what solutions are being installed or have been installed. The one thing that I wanted to look at, looks like we have everything installed. Wow. Already. So this is an environment I just set up with Dynamics 365 demos. And so this is something that, again, this is something that as a partner you have access to. And so if you don't have that or you haven't gone through that and seen that, definitely check out demos.microsoft.com with your partner account. Okay, cool. So there's a lot of different solutions in there, and so we won't go through them all right now. But again, this is the admin center. We have the different options here of actions we can take against the admin center. So again, those different solutions. But what I wanted to see, what I was working on yesterday, was in the admin center, there's actually a new user interface. And so I think this has been out there for a while. I hadn't pushed in and really looked at this and seen all the different information. And this is even updated since yesterday. Interesting. I'm going to go ahead and open that as a new URL. We're going to go ahead and see all this information. This is kind of cool. You can see the name of the instance, the environment. It looks like you can even edit here. So if we wanted to name this Saturday morning bacon and business apps, we can do that. It looks like you can even change the URL. I don't know if you could change the URL. Like, I know you could if you're a client, but in the demos, I don't know if you could. Type makes sense. It's Dynamics or not, or production or sandbox. Security groups is really good. And again, this is where it starts integrating with Office 365 in Active Directory groups. And so that's kind of cool. Administrative mode, that's kind of a neat way to display the toggle there, whether it's on or off. And again, that prevents people from either logging in or not. Status, cool. Everything looks good. Region, and when it was created, that's kind of nice. Permanent settings there. So what region is it located in, who created it and stuff. I'm going to go ahead and close that out. What else do we have here? So edits, the same information, only jumps to that page for you. Looks like this is still being loaded. So what's going on there? So it's going to be in the background. Other things that we're going to do is take a look over here. And again, if you're in watching this at all, feel free to drop a comment in chat. The other thing I'm going to work on doing is in the stream itself, I'm going to work on putting a little putting sort of a ticker down there at the bottom, so that way people can see that and view it. Or maybe on the right hand side. We'll see what happens. Okay, so what other things we have? So we got the environments. You can go back to the environment. You can see a list of the environments here. Let's go ahead and click on these ellipses. So open it or settings. The other thing is it's Saturday morning here in Seattle, so definitely if you want to grab a cup of coffee, if that's in the right time zone, or if you want to grab another beverage, certainly do it. So let's go ahead and see. So in this list of settings, it's interesting, and this is where I came across the other day, is there's a lot of settings here that are actually that used to be directly in Dynamics. So if you were in Dynamics over here, sort of the old classic view, you were to go to sales and go to settings and then like business management kind of thing. So I'm going to pull this over to the side. We'll go side by side on this one. So what we have here is the products themselves, and being able to see information about the products. You have the business. And so this is where we start seeing business closures. So if we click on business closures, it'll be interesting because I think it brings it up to the same page. Maybe. So just be mindful that this is a new environment. I think it's still fresh. So yeah, business closures, it's the same business closure thing between the two of them. That's kind of cool. So, so without having to go through, okay, you can go to settings, go to business management, go to business closures, you can go directly to your settings. And again, it makes sense when you think about it, because some of the stuff, when you do it, it's actually bringing it into the power of the admin. It looks like it's still here on the inside. So if you wanted to give a user permissions to use some of these features, they still can. But as a business, maybe you want it to apply to all your different instances. And so I don't have to go into each one and manage that. What's interesting though is that environments, often you're not doing it based on like one instance, and you're not doing it based on like one, like if your business is closed, your business is closed, right? So it's not just a matter of like, is your business closed for like this environment? Each environment will be different and unique, but often it's the business that's driving that, and not the system administrator. So I don't want to have to go to IT every time and talk about, hey, my business is going to be closed for this day, or it's a holiday or something like that. So anyways, that one's an interesting one. Calendar is there as well. And so I'll be interested to see where this calendar drops you. I don't know offhand where that comes from. I don't know if it's the fiscal year settings or not. We'll see here in a minute. Yeah, so it's your fiscal year settings, which is interesting that they renamed that. And I know this is one of the frustrations people have had before, especially if you're in the industry of retail. So they often, what is it, a 4-4-5 is their cadence. And so it's 4 weeks, and then 5 weeks is their cadence. And so that was something that it's interesting that Microsoft has yet to change this after, I don't know, a long time. But it's still not an option. And so it's kind of cool. Some of the different things you can do here, fiscal year, when you can start it. So when I think there was annually 4-week period one. We did it actually, and I forget how exactly we did it, but it was something that it was annual, but it started on like the first day of the month, or the first Monday of the new year or something like that. And so there were some interesting things you can do around that. Again, when you start on that 5-week period, how does it list? So anyways, I won't get into that too much more. Regional formatting, that's self-explanatory. There's also that same site. I think it's currencies. I'm curious on regional. See, this is the, and now it brings you to system settings, right? Because that makes sense. When you're going through this, I mean, how is regional formatting system settings? Like it should drop you like on formats, right? So organization standards formats, like that's regional formatting, but it definitely drops you on like the general tab of the system settings, which for those playing along at home in the old instance is settings and then administration. And then from here, we have that option of doing, okay, come on, system settings. And so this is this. And so while that's good that it drops you on system settings, that definitely should be labeled system settings and not just regional formatting, because that doesn't make sense at all. So anyways, one of the biggest things with this sort of format and recording this and then uploading it later is the fact that a lot of this stuff will probably have changed by the time it gets uploaded. And that's one of the awesome things about Microsoft right now, is that they're changing it so often that it really does change almost week to week. And so you're always getting a new product, which in some cases is really good because they're making these changes, they're improving it. Where it says regional formatting, they're going to get feedback on that saying, why is it regional formatting? It should be system settings is where it's actually going, or you should point it to the regional formatting section, which you have. And so why is that the case? Excuse me. So that's the kind of interesting things about Microsoft right now, is that they're going to take that type of feedback that is being provided to them, they'll update it, and by the time you log in next time, it's going to have changed. And so then you're like, where the heck? Seth went through this on the Bacon Bites, the breakfast show thingy he did, whatever that was, and it was like right here, and that's where I was hoping to go. I was hoping to take me to system settings, but it's no longer there. And so it's frustrating because, again, back in the day, I say back in the day, it was like 2 years ago, when they would release something every year or even every other year from 11 to 13 and 13 to 15, sort of every other year for these major releases that would have an impact to this kind of stuff. You kind of, like if it was regional formatting, it was regional formatting for a year or two. Now it's going to be regional formatting for like another 90 days or less or something like that. I don't know. But it's going to be quick like that, and all of a sudden it's going to turn around and it's going to go and be updated to system settings. And so now what does that look like? And how do you find it? And how do you keep up with this kind of stuff? And so the other ones make sense to me so far. The business closures, the calendars, the currencies. Where does currencies take you? Does that take you to the regional formatting? Because that would be funny. No, it is. It's all the different currencies in the system. Okay, that one makes sense. It's interesting that this is also the old UI. And so it really is just bringing it over. And again, I say the old UI. It's just the list view that they've always had for a long time now. What's privacy and settings? This one's interesting. So privacy and settings. The other thing I really like about what they're doing now is this privacy and settings, sort of these pop-outs. So learn more about this. Okay, cool. That's very contextual. It's very much what I want to learn. And so if I want to learn more about this, I can go in here and read it and actually go through it. I'll put this up on the right-hand side as we're going through. And so privacy preferences, show privacy statement, link for this organization. Oh, that's cool. So if you had your own privacy statement saying, okay, this is what we abide by and agree to as part of using the system, you can drop that link in there, which will bring it back out. And we'll just bring this up on the other side just that way we can check my understanding of all this stuff. Privacy statement URL. Cool. So you can drop that in there. It'll be added in the if you show the link, it will be added in the settings menu. Where's the settings menu? How do they describe the settings menu on this now? We'll find out. So if we drop it on google.com, we'll check that out here in a minute. Oh yeah, these are classic, right? It's funny because everybody jokes about this, how Microsoft never reads those or how they never respond to them. But this default action when an error occurs, ask for permission to send it. That's the one that everybody, it'll be there and it'll pop up and it'll say, do you want to send this to Microsoft? And it's like, why does this keep coming up? And eventually, I don't know. From what I've heard, that these don't actually do anything, or there's no action taken. You never follow up. It doesn't create a ticket. I would assume it does on the back end with Microsoft, so that way they can get information about what environment was, potentially who the user is, along with let's read it. That's a privacy statement. Along with the browser and stuff like that. What's interesting now with GDPR is I'd be interested to see what that looks like in Europe right now, if that information's there. And the fact is that even if you have a person that's logged into a North American-based system, they may be European, because I set it up here in Seattle, but I have a guy that works over in the UK or something like that. And again, now we have this whole instance where how do we manage security around that? Not just security around from the people interacting with it, but now we have GDPR because we probably have clients over there. But we also have the individual, his information's in here as well. So very interested to see, and again, we can read this over here to track address errors relating to, you can help Microsoft improve the product, letting the system send these reports by default. Individuals have a measure control whether they send the reports or not, but as an admin, you can do it at a global level. Awesome. That doesn't help at all. Explain what's going on or what actually happens to it. Or maybe I read it too fast. So I don't know. It's weird. So Okay. Blocked attachments. This is the classic thing that's often in the system settings that you see. And again, this is sort of redundant because they have it in two places now. So on the regional formatting and then here. What's kind of weird, set timeouts. Again, that's something that's been there for a while. But being able to set timeouts, that's a cool new feature. I like it. There's a lot of people that prior to them adding this, I don't know when they added this, a year ago maybe. It was something that was asked for. It's like, how do I kick them out? And there was different ways to do it, but this is definitely a cleaner way to do it, an easier way to do it, a system level way to do it. And so I'm glad to see that they added that. And again, this has been there for a while. Inactivity timeout. Again, this is just sort of, it goes beyond. So if somebody hasn't been active in the system, kick them out. And I'm not going to go through all this stuff. If you want to view this kind of stuff, check out. We have a video on it. So no need to go through that. Oh yeah, I was going to save this. Save that. And now when we go in here, and there was this concept that when you do the privacy, any user with system admin role will always see the Microsoft permission statement in the organization. Huh, interesting. So it's going to do the Microsoft one. Pending emails, that's awesome. That's normal. Problem is, just sort of as it notes here, is that it's going to be sysadmin versus, which I'm logged in as right now, so I may not see it. Upgrade runs. Interesting. This has a lot of stuff in it that came out of the box. I didn't even install all these solutions, but we're gonna have to check them out sometime. So I don't want to. That's personal options, privacy and cookies. Interesting. This is so cool. Wow. There's so many questions I have on this right now. So I can change my password, and this is my Active Directory password, or at least my Office 365 account password in this case, which is super cool. So I can change that there. A support pin. So if you're going to call Microsoft, what's a pin for permissions and stuff? Oh wow. What apps do I have permissions to? Or maybe that I'm giving permissions to these apps. Looks like the only one I can revoke is allowing it to use my data in here. What's also interesting, so I haven't installed Office as a desktop based on this Office 365 account, which is fine, is that this is all, I mean, I got to there from the privacy and cookies, but I'm in the North America geo, and it has all this information, which is kind of cool. You can install Office on up to 5 PCs or Macs. Again, that's part of the subscription that usually comes. This is the subscription associated with this individual. And that's a great way to find things. It's also nice that as a system administrator now, I know that I can send people here and that they can help me see what licenses they have. One thing it doesn't show is if I have permissions to. So if somebody could come in here and on the other end, got in there and turned that off, then they may still not have permissions to it, right? So it's that concept of, great, you have power, you have Dynamics 365 customer engagement. Well, it doesn't tell me the environments you have it or what level of access you have, but it shows me that you at least have a license assigned to you and security permissions. So anyways, that was kind of cool. Could change my themes, kind of the classic stuff. So, okay, cool. What were we looking for? Looking for the security. So again, I'm logged in with maybe the wrong user to see this, but it should be prompting me somewhere to say, hey, www.google.com is our privacy and security. So, okay, anyways. I'll hit cancel, head back to the admin center and see what that looks like. So hopefully you guys are, I don't know if anybody's even out there. It looks like we had total view time is 1. I don't know if that's 1 hour, 1 minute, or 1 second. It also looks like we had our peak was 4 concurrent. I don't know what 4 concurrent are. I'm going to go ahead and ping again. Over here on the Twitter, finishing setting up, going to be live this morning. I should drop this. As we review the new admin center, come check us out. Here is the URL, and I'm gonna take that, drop that, tweet that, and then also, where is my other one? I want to post this on Facebook to see if anybody's coming from the Facebook. Still live for another 15-ish minutes as we review admin center. Cool. Okay, cool. So that's being posted right now, and so we'll keep going. Again, I don't think joys of live stream. We started early. Oh no, let's be honest. We started super late. We got it set up. The headphones weren't working, all that kind of good stuff. But then we went and what was the other thing that happened? We started streaming and then we stopped streaming. Just because I was trying to like set up things, and I went for about 10 minutes thinking it was streaming, and it was definitely not streaming. So that was fun. It was good stuff. So okay, anyways, let's get back into this and review a few more things. Business units, I think that's self-explanatory. Hierarchical security, again, that's something that should be already in our security settings. Again, just doing this as a sort of translation for those that are used to this new or used to the old interface. So there's hierarchy security. Is it hierarchical security? Hierarchy. So again, same thing, just different places. Interesting that it dropped me back there. So I definitely didn't click that, right? So we clicked on security here. And then when you say discard, it drops you back to this page. Interesting. So that must be the URL. So if you wanted this, and I bet you if you looked on the back end at the different, so in the sitemap, there's different URLs that you can even put in there. Or, I don't think it's a web resource. I forget. But especially when you start looking at stuff like this, where it's like, oh, that doesn't look like Dynamics at all. Well, that's because when the sitemap, it's dropping you to a different URL. And so I bet you this is the URL. So if you wanted to use this interface or use this component anywhere, based on security, you'd be able to do that. So let's go ahead and close out that. Positions, that should, yeah. So then we got positions there. And again, this is a much larger security conversation. Security roles, teams, users. I think that's all. I'm curious on users and teams, actually. Is this going to be any different than if I were to go into security and look at users here? The reason I'm curious is because it's not in the, like, is it going to give me more options for security groups and stuff like that? Because it's not so focused in on sort of the app itself. It's kind of abstracted a level. Looks like we have 2 people watching now, but you know what? I bet both of those are me. Because that's the way it rolls. If you're out there, if you can just drop something in the chat window, let me know that you're there. That would be awesome. I'm still trying to figure out if what I'm doing is being streamed. So if you don't mind, And I know this is kind of that you're now going in from being somebody that's just listening. Just, I think you can throw like smiley faces or something. So just throw in an emoji or something out there. So I know that you're out there. I can't tell if that's, again, it says 4 watching now, but I'm pretty sure like the 4 of them are me, unless somebody else is out there. And I don't know if you can tell that. And this is where being a super noob at doing all this stuff. I will assume that these are all are me, but it'd be awesome if somebody could like hit me up on Twitter or drop something in the comments. I think I'm in the right place. Anyways, always happy to engage with somebody if they're out there. So with that said, we will press on, yeah? Because if nothing else, it's going to be something that people will come back to and watch later. And now, if you're watching this in the future, because this was in the past, if that's the case, then definitely throw a comment down below. Anyways, enough of that. Let's get back to like why we're actually here, which is the learning part. So with that said, definitely is enabled users is the exact same thing. So I don't think it matters at this point what's going on. So, okay, let's go ahead and drop that. Teams is there. And it sounds like the little kid's awake. So this may be coming to a quick end here because I was going to stream until my kid wakes up. And so we may do this a little more tonight. If you're interested, leave a comment down below. We can do this typically anytime after 8-ish when he goes down for bed. And he's definitely awake. So anyways, what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. We hit Teams. There's nothing really on here on Teams. I think we're going to go ahead and pause it right there. We've kind of done this left side. What we'll do is do some more on this a little later. Here in the next, I don't know, we can do this again potentially tomorrow if people are interested, or in the evening tonight. Enjoy going through this. This is kind of what I do for my day job. So it's definitely something that I'm interested in doing and learning more about. And so when you're interested in doing something like this, I don't know if it helps people go through this and just sort of how somebody that's has seen the system and been around the system for a while thinks about it and goes through sort of evaluating, okay, how does this go? What does this look like? Let's play around with this. This is not in any way supposed to be a training course necessarily. So I know we never even got to the actual new user interface. I mean, this is the new admin center, but it's not the unified interface, which I was hoping to do today. That kind of got sidetracked with the new environment that we had to set up today. So hopefully we'll do the new interface soon. I apologize for the one person that was out there and voted for that. Hopefully you're okay with this. I'm going to go ahead and finish up. We'll do another either recording or a stream on the emails and the services. Again, I'll go ahead and bounce that back over there where you can see the email and services and data management and stuff like that. So I think it'd be good to go through. I'm curious on auto numbering as well. Is that the same stuff that's been there? See, this is the problem. I get super interested in this stuff and I want to like click on all these buttons and see what goes around. My wife gives me a hard time for when we're in their car, and every new car we get, well, not just, we don't get that many new cars, let's be honest. Every time we go in a rental car is more appropriate, or I ride in somebody's car. I'm always the one that's in there messing with buttons and playing around with things and turning on the Bluetooth or turning it off, seeing how it just interacts. It's really bad when you're like in a rental car and it goes in and it has the HUD, the heads up display, that's behind the steering wheel and in the columns and stuff like that. And so you're always like playing with it and messing around with it. It's not good. Don't do that. It's almost like texting and driving. It's kind of the same, maybe worse. So if you're going to do that kind of stuff, she reminds me all this time, and do it while we're parked. And as a person of action, a lot of times it's hard to sit there and go through that. But anyways, what we're doing again is just going through this. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully it was sort of interesting, a different change of format. It's definitely more impromptu, something that's not that I don't know if I've seen very many people go through and do. It's something that, again, trying to be provide a different format, a different way for people to learn. What I'll try to do is in the show notes or in the description, put in just the different tags and just sort of the timestamps of when people can do things, so that way they can jump ahead. As always, go ahead and take care. It looks like we do have one person watching right now, so we'll go ahead and drop. And we will hit us up on Twitter. I should have all that kind of stuff pulled up, so that way I can do it. But anyways, so we're at thebaconbites.com, or excuse me, the Bacon Bites. So we're at the Bacon Bites on Twitter. We're also on Facebook. And then thebaconbites.com is the website. So check that out. Do appreciate the one person that voted, yes, we should do it. And then this morning. So hopefully you were able to be a part of it and get to see it this morning. I appreciate the interaction. Even just this one thing, it's like, oh, cool, there's somebody out there. And so very much appreciate that person. So cool. Well, with that, I'm going to go hang out with the kid today and the baby Bacon. And we will go from there. So until next time, take care.